Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today, what we are going to study the factors affecting on diffusion. What are the different factors that we are going to study today? Like with respect, we will just study the diffusion with respect to surface area, distance, mass, and applied temperature. Okay, in o level chemistry only two factors have been discussed, and these are the part of your syllabus. These are the mass and applied temperature, but there are certain other factors, and we will also discuss about them. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw different kind of structures. Let's suppose you have a piece of cloth. This is the wet cloth piece. Okay, now from this point to this point, you are just getting the length of that piece of cloth, which is basically wet, means it was placed in water and now you put out that cloth. The length from this point to this point, it's about 10 meter. That's the 10-meter cloth which is wet. You have also another piece, the Xerox copy of that 10-meter cloth. The same 10-meter cloth which is highly folded, and this is also a wet cloth, but it's folded. Okay, its length is also 10 meter, its length is also 10 meter, but this is folded. This is sprayed, a simple, it is sprayed it over a surface, and this is folded. Now beta, all of the other environmental factors like the temperature, like the sunlight, like the humidity, they are same for these two clothes. Now tell me, which cloth will dry first? I'm asking the question, which cloth will dry first? Which cloth will dry first? Yes, beta. Which cloth will dry first? Definitely the cloth which has more surface area. The cloth which has more surface area. Let's suppose these are the water drops. These are the water droplets. The blue shaded area, basically these are what? These are the water droplets. It also keeps the water droplets, but it is spread up, it covers the more surface area. The answer is this cloth. Why? Because it has more surface area. So we can say that the water was diffusing out from that wet cloth which was spread it over a long area, or it was covering more area. So we can say that surface area surface area is directly proportional to diffusion or rate of diffusion. The surface area is directly proportional to the rate of diffusion. For directly proportional, we use a term or symbol. This is called directly proportional. It means the more surface area, more diffusion. What does it mean? It means that more surface area means more diffusion. It means more surface area means more diffusion. Now, what kind of examples we have in living organism? Let's suppose, what are the different examples? The different examples we have, alhamdulillah, let's suppose uh, one of the example, that is alveoli in the lungs. Lungs have tiny airbags called alveoli. These tiny airbags provide more surface area to exchange more gases among the lungs to blood and blood to lungs. The lungs have the tiny airbags called alveoli, which provide more surface area for the diffusion of gases. So my dear student, when talk about the lungs have what? Lungs have one specialized part which is called alveoli. These alveoli, which provides more surface area for the diffusion of gases. Now, what is the structure of the alveoli? You can see that. Let's suppose this is what these are. This is trachea. Trachea is converted to bronchus or bronchi. Bronchi is converting to uh, it is attaching with lungs, the left and right lung. These are the left and right trunk. And when I observe just a microscopic view, what will I say? What will I will look? Okay, now these bronchi will convert to bronchioles, and these bronchioles will convert to different kind of small areas, and these small areas are called alveoli. Now, one of the structure you can see that you can observe like this kind of a structure. If you just okay, these are what? These are the bronchioles, and these are the ends, and these are what? These are the alveolar bag. Now these are the alveolar bag. You can see inside that part of the lungs. If you just zoom out these things, okay, what will observe? You can observe these type of structure. Now these are the small bags. These are the basically what? These are the small bags. Now these are the small bags like this one, this one, this one. When you open these bags, you will say that they are covering more surface area. This is called alveolus. Okay, this is called basically this is pillar, which is called alveoli, and the singular part, this is called like this is the one part. If I just more zoom out, it will cover this bag, and this is covered with the tiny blood capillaries. Now this is called alveoli. Alveoli, alveoli, and the singular is alveolus. Okay, now what happens? It provides the more surface area. What is the benefit of it? because the more oxygen can diffuse in, and more carbon dioxide can diffuse out from the body. Is it clear? Now the another example we have, okay, among us we have another example. Let's suppose I'm just going to share another example. uh, we have one of the specialized system which is called digestive system, and one of the part of the digestive system that is called small intestine. The small intestine keeps the last part of the small intestine, the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Now the small intestine keep the finger like projection. Okay, the finger like projections. What are the finger like projection? Let's suppose this is the one part of the small intestine, and they have the brush border like structures like this one, like this one, like this one. If I'm just going to take the zoom effect, like I'm just going to have this zooming effect here, I'm just getting the zooming effect here, and so I can see that this area has what? This area has the finger like projection. Now this is the finger like projection like this. Okay, now this finger like projections, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to again zooming these finger like projections again here. I'm just getting another zoom, magnifying this finger like projection. What can I see? That I can see that the finger like projections, they keep what? They keep like small folded over it. Now this is what, basically this is what these are called microvilli. Okay, now this one structure, this is called villus, and the many structures of these finger like projections, they are called villi. The singular is villus. And what are these? These are basically what? These are the microvilli. And this villus and microvillus, or the microvilli, the pillar is microvilli. Okay, or many people they also say villi. Okay, the microvilli, basically they also provide the large surface area to absorb more food, and nutrients during the process of digestion. Now this is another example that I need to give you. Okay, intestine, the human intestine or any animal intestine keeps the alveoli, or keeps the villi, which is called villi, villi, and singular is villus. Okay, which also keep the microvilli to provide more surface area, to provide more surface area. And this more surface area helps, which helps to get more diffusion, okay, diffusion of nutrients. Okay, now the nutrients can easily diffuse out, or diffuse inside the hepatic portal vein. Okay, which helps. Now this surface area, basically this helps to get uh, the diffusion of nutrients in a simple and faster way, in a faster way. So these, this is the thing, the surface area, basically the diffusion, the first factor, that is the surface area. The surface area provides the chances to do more diffusion as compared to that one. Okay, now again I'm just going to share another example. Let's suppose you have the same cloth, the same 10-meter cloth like this one, and this is also weight. This is also wet cloth. But and the length of this wet cloth is also 10 meter. But remember, and this is also covering the large surface area, but it is thicker, it is woolly. It is woolly. Okay, it is thicker. Now the same thing. Which cloth will dry first? This cloth will dry first. The first thing that is, it has larger surface area. The second one, that is the distance. Let's suppose I'm just getting one example here. There is one sheet and this is another sheet, and the particles need to move from that sheet, and they both are permeable to each particle. Okay, this is particle and this is the same particle. Now which particle move out from this sheet? Okay, now which particle will take less time to move across that sheet? Definitely the thinner one, because it needs to cover the less distance. It needs to cover the less distance. So the another factor of diffusion or the rate of diffusion is less distance. If you have the less distance, okay, let's suppose you have the molecule of oxygen, and oxygen needs to diffuse out from that membrane. Okay, and if the diffusion of oxygen is going to happen from the thick membrane which covers the more distance, it means, what does it mean? It means that this oxygen will take more time to diffuse out or to be absorbed, but as compared to this surface it will take less time because its total distance is very less. This is the distance, I'm just writing dis, and this is the distance, I'm writing dis. Now you can see that the membrane or the layer which distance, this vertical distance is less, the particle easily pass from it. Okay, and in the last but not least, and these two different topics that you have also studied, that the mass and applied temperature. Okay, let's suppose you are just covering 10 kilometer in 1 minute. If I put the 50 kilogram over mass on you, what will happen? You will not cover that the same distance with the same minutes. Okay, in the previous example, let's suppose you are covering 100 meter in 10 minutes, and now you have 100 kg more mass. What will happen? Now you will not cover the 100 meter or kilometer in 10 minutes. You will take more time. It means the mass is directly proportional. It's not the directly proportional, it is the inversely proportional to the rate of diffusion. But keep one thing in your mind. Let's suppose this is the surface area and the applied temperature. These are the two factors that are involved in the directly proportional. If you increase the temperature, the diffusion will be faster. If you increase the surface area, the diffusion will be faster. But if you increase the distance or increase the mass, it is inversely proportional. That's why I have mentioned here. Okay, distance and mass, they are inversely proportional. They are inversely proportional. What does it mean? If the distance or mass will be more, it means the mass of the particle, it means their diffusion will be more. And the last thing that I need to discuss here, that is the nature of the particle. The nature of the particle, this is very much important. Okay, which type of particle you are using? Let's suppose you are using a particle that cannot diffuse easily. Okay, it cannot transfer from the plasma membrane or cell wall. Okay, what will happen? So there is no diffusion. But that was the topic that I need to clear today, and I will request any volunteer, please, 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 can you please read out the material that I'm going to show you here. Okay, surface area. First of all, these are the material. Who is going to read out first?
Sir, can I?
Yes, okay.
Rate of diffusion. Molecules and ions in liquid and gases move around randomly using kinetic energy, energy from movement. The speed with which a substance diffuses through a cell wall or a cell membrane will depend on temperature and many other conditions, including the distance it has to diffuse, the difference between the concentration inside and outside the cell, the size of its molecules or ions, and the surfaces across which the diffusion is occurring. Surface area. If 100 molecules diffuse to 1 mm square of a membrane in 1 minute, it is reasonable to suppose that an area of 2 mm square will allow twice as many through in the same time. Thus, the rate of diffusion into a cell will depend on the cell surface area. The greater the surface area, the faster is the total diffusion. Cells which are involved in
Just
rapid
hold.
absorption,
Beta,
such
please,
as
please,
boost.
please, please, just wait a minute. Okay, like this. The greater the surface area, the faster is diffusion. At the same point as I have told in my previous slides. Okay, more surface area means more diffusion. Write down that thing. Okay, cells which are involved in rapid absorption, such as those in kidney or the intestine, often have their free surface membrane. Now, beta, read out from that side. Next, formed from this side, beta. Please read out.
Formed, in, formed into hundreds of tiny projections called microvilli, which increase the absorbing surface. The shape of a cell will also affect the surface area. For example, the cell in figure 3.4a has a greater surface area than that in figure 3.4b, even though they have the same volume.
Okay. Now the volume is same, but it has more surface area. It means the diffusion will occur more fast as compared to this cell. Okay. Now the next one is temperature. As I have told you in my chemistry lecture, temperature is also directly proportional to diffusion. If you increase the temperature, it means you are increasing the kinetic energy of the particles and they move more rapidly. More kinetic energy means more rapid motion, and more rapid motion means more rapid diffusion. Okay. Now any other volunteer? Any other?
Sir, can I read?
Yeah, you better. Temperature. From the temperature. From this side.
An increase in temperature causes an increase in the kinetic energy with faster, so the process of diffusion speeds up. Concentration gradient. The bigger the difference in the concentration of a substance on either side of a membrane, the faster it will tend to diffuse. The difference is called a concentration gradient or diffusion gradient. If a substance on one side of a membrane is steadily removed, the diffusion gradient is maintained. When oxygen molecules enter a red blood cell, they combine with a chemical solution. Thus, the concentration of free oxygen molecules inside the cell is kept very low and the diffusion gradient for oxygen is maintained.
Okay, diffusion definitely occur from higher to lower concentration. Okay, but what is the next thing that you need to understand? That let's suppose these are the blue dots. Basically these are the molecules which are in higher concentration. Definitely they will move towards that side where they are in less. quantity or in lower concentration. So diffusion always occurs from higher to lower concentration, that we have also studied in our last lecture. And the distance and the size of the molecule, they are basically what? These are the inversely proportional things. Inversely means if you are increasing the distance of the layer from where the particles can move, it means they will move, they will move not in a rapid manner. Okay, thank you very much, Peter, both of you. Now I'm just going to read out and just summarizing the material. The cell membranes are all about the same thickness, approximately 0.07 micrometer, but the plant cell walls vary in their thickness and permeability. Generally speaking, their thicker wall, the slower the rate of diffusion. When the oxygen diffuses from the alveoli of the lungs into the red blood cell, it has to travel through the cell membrane of the alveoli, the blood capillaries, and the red blood cells in addition to the cytoplasm of each cell. This increased distance slows down the diffusion rate. Like in the same manner, size of the molecules or ions. In general, the larger molecular ion, slower they diffuse. However, many ions and molecules in the solution attract the water molecule around them, and so their effective size is greatly increased. It may not be possible to predict that the rate of diffusion from molecular size alone is doing. It means you cannot say that there is only one factor is involving. If you are just going to observe the phenomena of rate of diffusion, you must observe that the structure of the surface area, distance or the thickness of the layers, and the temperature that is increasing or decreasing, and what kind of molecule is moving in or out from the cells. Like the water molecules, the diffusion of water molecules across the semi-permeable membrane, this is called osmosis. Okay, it occurs very rapidly as compared to other ions. Okay, and the gases diffusion, they occurs more rapidly because their molecular size is low or less. Okay, controlled diffusion, how can you control the diffusion? Okay, this is our another topic, but I will request to complete that topic in our today class, because tomorrow we have to understand different kind of practical work. Okay, now what do you mean by the controlled diffusion? Again, beta, any one of you please read it out, but in a louder voice. Who is going to read it out? Hurry up, hurry up.
Ramai.
Yes, beta.
Controlled diffusion. Although for any one substance, the rate of diffusion through a cell membrane depends partly on the concentration gradient. The rate is often faster or slower than expected. Water diffuses more slowly. Water diffuses more slowly, and amino acids diffuse more rapidly through a membrane than might be expected. In some cases, this is thought to happen because the ions or molecules can pass through the membrane only by means of special pores. These pores may be few in number, or they may be open or closed in different conditions. In other cases, the movement of a substance may be speeded up by an enzyme working in the cell membrane. So it seems that simple passive diffusion, even of water molecules, may not be so simple or so passive after all, where cell membranes are concerned. When a molecule gets inside a cell, there are a great many structures and processes which may move it from where it enters to where it is needed. Simple diffusion is unlikely to play a very significant part in this movement.
Okay, so basically what had happened in our previous years, one question was experienced by the student, and the question was how the organisms can control their rate of diffusion. Let's suppose a simple example. There are different kind of plants. They are found in different environmental conditions, like in the dry conditions. Okay, the plants, they can sunken their stomatal openings. They can they have a small quantity of stomata, and there are different kind of molecules and the substances. They have the small and the specialized pores and the holes by which they can pass through from one side to another side. So the organisms can also control the diffusion, and as well as one of the best way that like in active transport, when we talk about the passing of the substance from one side to another side, there are different kind of substances. They also need to be controlled. Like one of the best way, let's suppose in both sides you have the same quantity of water, but you want to move the water from one side to another side. There is no need to increase the quantity of water on left hand side or right hand side. Just increase the quantity of solute. As I have told you that the osmosis is basically the diffusion of water across the cell membrane. Okay, what will happen if you increase the quantity of solute? If you increase the quantity of solute, let's suppose I'm just again moving towards my whiteboard. Let's suppose there is a layer and you have the system, you have the same quantity of water here, the same quantity of water here, and you want to move that water from this side to this side, and this is the quantity of minerals. Okay, this is the quantity of mineral here, and this is the quantity of mineral here. Now what I'm going to do, what will I do? Just I will increase the quantity of the minerals or the solute here. Okay, I will just increase the quantity of solute here. Now by this way I can also increase, by this way I can also increase the rate of diffusion or decrease the rate of diffusion. Now the solute potential is greater here. We know that where the solute potential is greater as compared to the water potential is lower. So by this trigger or stimulus, the water will move from this side to this side. What had happened, I did not increase the quantity of water, but just I increase the quantity of solute. That's the thing. Most of the people, they and the doctor suggests that not to use heavy quantity of salt and salty solutions, because when they move inside in your digestive tract or intestine, what will happen, the nutrients will not diffuse in, the nutrients will diffuse out. That's the thing, and this condition is called loose motion or uh, the loose motion or simple diarrhea. In diarrheal condition, what is happening in our inside of the alveoli or the intestinal structures, the concentration of the solute will be increased, and in that condition the water which is found inside our body, it will move out rather to move in. That was the different kind of topics. Alhamdulillah, in detail we have studied and discussed the topics of diffusion. Is there any kind of ambiguity? I have recorded that lecture. If you want to get any kind of ambiguity, if you want to ask the thing, if you want to repeat the thing, you may visit my YouTube channel and you may get this recorded and live lecture from that side also. Okay, but I will also again request, I'm just also sharing these notes to your WhatsApp groups, because just to read out the material that we have studied yet. And after getting it, inshallah, tomorrow we are just going to have the class in which we are going to experience one practical work. ठीक है, हमें फिर एक प्रैक्टिकल वर्क करना है, उसके ऊपर हम छोटा सा यहाँ पे डेमो भी लेंगे और उस पर देखेंगे. नाउ दिस इज द पार्ट ऑफ योर पेपर 6, experiment on diffusion and surface area. This is one of the great experiment and you will enjoy that thing, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much class. Inshallah we are meeting tomorrow. Is there anything in your mind you may ask? आपके जहन में कोई सवाल जो आप उससे पूछना चाहते हो? Okay, no. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.